Hi, this is Mandy from Sunflowers and Doors and welcome back to my channel. And we are at week 2 of the Bugtopia collaboration with Suzanne from Nonstop Papercrafts and myself. It is a fabulous collaboration. It's all about bugs. The freebie in my group for this week is this one here. And the prompt for this week is bottle tops or bottle caps. So this is the freebie. So if you don't have anything like that, you can kind of create your own. And then there's lots of insides that you can add if you want to play. I'm going to try and create some real ones. That's the plan. So I've got a shed load of resources ready and I'm going to have a go and see how we get on. So my desk looks like a bomb's hit it. But these are all the goodies that I'm going to try to play with and see whether or not it's going to work. So I'm going to try and create a little habitat for the bugs. Now I've got a couple of these, they're in different colours. Oh no, they're all in, the insides are all the same, it's fine. So I'm going to create a couple of these. I bought these. I did buy these, I think, from somewhere like Shein or could have been Temu, and they were cheap as chips. But if you've got them at home, that is what you want to play with. So I'm going to try and create some little habitats that our bugs can live in. That's the thought process. Let me see if I put this over here. That might, you can probably see what I'm doing a little bit better this way. So, again, as in true fashion, I've never tried anything like this before. I did see a video from Louise Heinzel on this kind of concept, and it was brilliant. So I'm going to take a few things from her videos and then try to incorporate a few other bits and pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some matte medium because I'm going to want to play with these. And so I'm going to add some matte medium, if I can open it. Oops-a-daisy. Some matte medium. I think this is probably going to be a lot messier than I anticipated. So let me just get rid of that. And I may have to take this off because I don't want to get it coated. So yeah, I'm going to use some matte media just to kind of prep, if you like, prime the bottle tops, because I'm going to add lots of different bits and pieces, different types of medias, and I want to make sure that they kind of stick. So I'm going to use, let's take that off. I'm going to use some matte medium, first of all, just some plain gel matte medium, and I'm going to coat the insides and around the edges of these. This video is probably going to be really, really long because there's so many stages, but I am looking forward to it, so it'll be fun to play with, I'm hoping. And I'm not using a huge coat of this. The other thing you could potentially do, if you don't have any matte medium, is just use a little bit of sanding paper, because this isn't taken to this particularly well. So I'm going to also try. So I've done 3 with that. I've also got the Vintage Distress Collage Medium. I don't even know if this is any good still. But I'm going to try a little bit of that in the other 3. Yeah, you might want to sand these down before you start anyway, just to get rid of any of the residue. It'll probably take a little bit longer to dry because it's on that type of metal surface is what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Very not well at all. Let's put this on properly. Get rid of that. Okay, so I'm gonna let those dry first of all before we do anything else. And then what we're going to do, so these have dried off a little bit, and what we're then going to do is we're going to use a little bit of paint. Now this is fluid acrylic as raw umber, and I've also got a green gold. They're quite translucent because of the way the colours are. Don't know if I've used them yet, to be honest. No, I haven't, so I'll take these off. Yeah, I haven't used them yet, but they are very what's the word? Translucent, I think is the word. Oops, I'm making a right old mess of this, honestly. Might not even need that now. So let's pop this here. Let's get that one there because we've got some of that on there. So this might be enough. Just as well I didn't keep that thing on my hands because I would have been in trouble. So I'm going to no, I will need more. I'm just going to go around. I don't need to cover the whole of the inside because I'm going to be working with different materials to go in there. I just want to give a bit of a base, especially around the edges. So again, I am playing this by ear because I don't really understand probably enough of the mixed media stuff and the relationships between the different mixed medias. Now, Cara Renee, on the other hand, from Be Reborn Art and Healing, if you're into mixed media and you haven't checked out Cara Renee's site, which would surprise me, but if you're not, then Cara is fabulous with mixed media stuff. She's really, really creative. So if you're into mixed media, check out her site. She really is very, very good. So that's why that is like that, because it didn't come off. That's going to be too messy to work with. Oh my gosh, I'm going to look like, I don't know what I'm going to look like after playing with this stuff today. Now this is very dark, but it's also, like I said, a little bit translucent, so I'm not going to put masses on. Just going to put a little bit of a coating on. Okay. And then we're going to wait for those to dry off as well. They will take a little bit longer, as I said, because it's on metal, but hopefully the matte medium will help. Now, if you are creating these ones here, which is the freebie, I've got lots of different designs in that, but you can also just make your own. I haven't worked out the... I think this is going to be too small, or 1 inch. I'm not sure what size I did these as. Let's have a quick look. So these are a tiny bit bigger than 1 inch circle punch, but the idea is that they will go inside of there. So you decorate this as you wanted to, and then pop those inside of there and add some labels or some little whatever. But that is the idea with these. And you can do different versions of those. So if you don't have the ones that I'm playing with today, then you can definitely create your own. And they do look quite cool. I don't know how well you can see that, but it does look pretty good. Okay, pop that over there. Okay, so these have dried a little bit more. I did use a heat gun on them just to get them a little bit drier, a little bit quicker. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some alcohol inks. Now this one here is caramel. So I haven't got a huge amount of these, but I've got a couple. So I'm going to add some caramel, and the idea is just to add a little bit on the edge. Oh gosh, that's come out fast. Just a little bit on the edges, just to give it a little bit of added texture. Same on here. And I'm not being fussy, I'm just adding a little bit here and there. And again, we need to let those dry. I've got a media mat somewhere, but my desk is always so messy, I don't have enough room to put it out. So I do need to really sort myself out. But yeah, you can see they're just looking really dirty and grungy now, which is fab. And the same on these ones here. A little bit on the edges, just dirty and grungy. Got ink all in my nails. Okay, I'm going to give another blast with the heat tool. Now, the only thing I would say is if you're using a heat tool, be careful not to pick these up straight away because they're going to be very, very hot. And just be careful of what you're adding, your surface and stuff. I should have something underneath this, but this is absorbing the heat, so I'm not overly worried about that. Okay, so the next step is going to be create a little habitat. So I've got a few things. I've got some of this, looks like a false grass kind of stuff, which I thought would be very cool. I've got a little twig from the back, which I'll have to chop up, and then I've got some flowers, or some what look like flowers. So I'm going to have a play with some of these, if I can find my tweezers. So I'm going to create a little bit of grass. Not too much because I don't want it to be I want it to cover the whole of the tops. I want it to just look like a little bit like a habitat, that type of thing. Gosh, this stuff smells a bit weird. Not weird, just a tad different. Oops, a daisy. May as well have just poured it in, hadn't I? I like it more with the brown ones at the moment, but we'll see what it looks like when it's all done. Okay, and then a bit in here. Okay, so we've got some green leaves in there, and what I'm going to do with this little thing here is I'm going to take some I'm going to cut this as though it's just little branches. Oh gosh, it's harder than it needed to be. I think these are in the pile to throw out, but I just grabbed them. So we've got 4 of these, so I'm going to pop them just on here, like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill them with some, well, I'm going to do a mix. I'm going to fill some up with some embossing powder, some clear embossing powder. Just messed all my little thingamy-bob up. Let's get that stick on the top. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, so there's one. Before I do anything else, I want to see if it actually does melt. So let's have a look. Ah! Now, why did I not know that was going to happen? Okay, so it's not going to work on that. What I might need to do then is let's put some embossing powder in here first and heat that, because that will then give me a sticky surface to stick this stuff to. Let's see if this will stick to this. I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to. See, this is the problem when you have lots of bits that are gonna fly away. Okay, so what I'm going to use instead is, where is it? I'm going to use some glossy accents instead and see if that works. Okay, so that covers it well. So that's what I'm going to have to do, I think, is try with the glossy accent. Let's empty that out of there, because I've got some Austin powder in there. So let's do that one again. What I might do with this one is the next step I was going to do was add some flowers, but I was going to do that after I'd added the embossing powder. I don't think that's going to work. So let's get the flowers and add them at this stage and hope that the glossy accent sets enough for me. I just thought of something like that there. The wood I still want to see. And then that can go there. Like that. And then let's try some glossy accent on this one. Okay. Once it's set, I can use some, probably use some of the powder. I know why the powder didn't stick. Stupid. I didn't put any didn't put anything on it for it to stick to, like the embossing glaze stuff. It's a bit silly, wasn't it? So that wouldn't have helped. But we'll go with this now we've started. And I'm hoping we're going to be okay. Another one there. And then we'll go with some pink ones, I think, for this. So I'm going to pop that there. And let's get another one. One there. And we'll get another one there. So I'm just going to coat these now with the glossy accent. So these are going to have to dry overnight now, I think, but you can see already kind of what they're going to look like. Just mini little habitats for our critters. So that bluey kind of cloudy glue will settle to nothing, should settle to nothing. So then we're going to add some of our little bugs. So we've got some bees, And we've got some butterflies. Now I might actually add these now because it's still wet. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to add them separately, but why wouldn't I add them now? I'm not going to have them inside of the glue as such, more just sitting on top of it. So I've got some butterflies and I have got some bees, if I can open them, that is. So I think the longest part of this is going to be letting your things dry in between. I think that's where the problems are going to come, you know. So I have got some little bumblebees here, which I might add. I'm going to add those to the green ones. I'm going to do 2 for now, because that one just sank, and I don't necessarily want it to sink. So, and then on the pink ones, or the yellow ones, got some really, that's better. So it kind of sits on top slightly, but it's glued on. So, butterflies. Okay, so those 2 are sticking out. The bees have sunk in there, so I'll have to wait for the bees now. All red. These I'm gonna just sticking out there. So I think I prefer the butterflies actually, which is okay. So I'm gonna have these just popping out of the glue. And they should, in theory, dry quite well. But that's going to be the million-dollar question in whether or not they do. So, yeah, so I'm just going to move some of these around a little bit. Well, I've got some playing room, so they stick out slightly. They stick out, which is fine. These here, just have them sticking out a little bit more. And then these 2 over here. And those there. Okay. Right, so that is the idea. What we're going to do now is let them dry. So if I lift one up, you can start to see we've got a little habitat going on. and hopefully once that's dried it'll show all the components out. I'm hoping it'll show all of the components. Yeah, so I guess it's just now we have to just wait and see. And we can always then add more to it once it's done. But for now, we're just gonna let them dry. And I'll be back once that's happened. And see how we get on. So yeah, that's the thought process. I'm going to play around with these a little bit, which I probably shouldn't, but just to get everything where I want it. Yeah, I think that's good to go now. So the bees are the only ones really that I'm not 100% happy with. But like I said, we can add more on top. So I'm going to stop playing, and I'll see you shortly once these have dried off. Hi, okay, so I'm back. Don't know why I'm saying hi, because this is going to be the same video for you guys. So I've let these dry overnight. 3 of them I didn't like at all, but these 3 I thought looked really, really cool. So just like a little grungy bug kind of house. I don't know if you can see how well you can see those. And then this one here. So I think the pink one is my favourite. But yeah, they came out better than I expected. To use these, you can use them in whatever way you want to use them, in fairness. I mean, if you have a journal cover, so say this is your journal cover, you could have these dotted around on your journal cover, whatever. But what I thought was a really cool idea is you could have glued a button to the underneath of this one. So you could have it here as your closure, and then just use either some ribbon or some elastic or whatever attached to the other side of your journal and wrap around there as your closure. So I did think these were quite cute. But as I said, the pink one is probably my favourite, but they do look very, very, very grungy. So there's those. And then I thought, right, okay, let's play with the pieces that came in the kit. Not the kit, in the freebie that you're getting, and see what they look like. So I used a 1-inch punch, and in fairness, it was a pretty decent, kind of match for the siding. So I got some more of our bottle tops and I painted them, and I just put a little bit of different colour paints. So I used the yellow and the blue or turquoise on these, just to put a little bit of colouring on them. And then the idea was that literally we glue the pieces that we've cut onto them. So the pieces that we've punched out, we glue into these. So for instance, I've got one here, and what I've done with this is I've just put a little bit of ink around the edge, and I would put this as I've put this, I'm using the glossy accent to glue it just because I've used that all the way through. So that would go on there, all like that. And again, if you haven't got the bottle tops, then you just use these that came with the kit, and it looks just as cool. So I thought, okay, have a little play. And then with these ones, what I thought would be pretty cool would be, just get another one now. And again, just glue this. I'm using the yellows and the blues because one, my kit is all blue, and with bits of like neutrals like creams and stuff. And then Suzanne's kit is very neutrals, so these will go with both. And then you've got a couple of different options. So with the one, I pop some glossy accent just over the top. Like that. And I let it dry. Obviously now it's all blurred and stuff because that's just what it comes out like. But when it dried, it came out like that, which I thought looked, again, really cool. And I mean, if you really wanted to, I haven't, but you could probably flatten these quite easily, give them a little bit of a hammer and flatten these. And then these would be great on things like tags or pockets, or if they're not sticking out as flush as they are here. I probably should have flattened one to have a go to see what it looked like, but the light is, the sun's shining straight in here at the moment, so I don't know how much of that you can see, but they turned out really, really cool. And that was with the glossy accent. And then the other thing I tried was to use problem is I've used my tray now, so let's get some paper. This is just my instructions paper. So what I did then was use a distress embossing pen just to go over these. And then I used some embossing glaze. So this one here is fossilized amber. So that one, fossilized amber. And say with this one, I used frosted crystals. And then I just used the heat gun to heat these up. Now this will work. Be really careful once you've done this, because I did almost make the mistake of picking one up and they are red hot. So this is what it looked like when I used the fossilized amber embossing glaze. I used that one though with the blue. And this is what it looked like when I used the frosted crystals. So you probably can't pick that up particularly well. But yeah, I liked it. So then I kind of thought, right, okay, I did have some little charms, and they had like a ring here so you could attach them to things, but I thought they would be really, really cool in here as an addition. So I thought, well, I'm going to have a go at that as well. So the idea was literally just to glue these on. And again, I'm using some glossy accent because it's great with metals. Well, it's great for gluing most things. So that is going to have to set, but that will give you an idea of what that then looks like. And then this one here, even though we've got different types of bugs, I'll just show you against that surface too. So there's that one there. Yeah, we'll cool down a bit. So that one there still has to dry, but they were kind of like the different results from the different ones that we did. So these are totally just grunged little gardens, wildernesses. And then these two here were just glossy accent. This one here was the fossilized amber embossing glaze. And this one here was the frosted crystals. So they give really different looks. I don't know what it is. Those two are probably my favourite just because I love the cleanness of them. But I do like them with these little charms on. I think they look quite cool. And those for the grungy look are quite cool. But as I said, you know, use them how you want to. If you pop a little button or something else similar on the back, gives you enough room to wrap around. You can use it as your closure, and as I said, you can even flatten these down, use a hammer or something to flatten these down a little bit, and then you've got some fabulous pieces for things like text and not text. For imagine if that was like flat on that, it would look pretty but pretty cool. So yeah, there's lots of different options for these, but I definitely liked playing with them. It was definitely an interesting idea and lots of learnings with these as well. But that is our bottle tops for week 2. Can't wait to see what Suzanne comes up with. And again, all the information for the collaboration will be in the description box below with Suzanne's group details. So if you're not already on that Facebook group, then pop on over. But yeah, it was a lot of fun playing with these, and as I said, I quite like the different looks. So that is bottle tops for week 2 of the Bugtopia collaboration. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I'll leave it there, and I will catch you in the next video. Until then, bye for now.